And we are live. What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. I'm just gonna get everything, last few things set up, and we'll be ready to go. Hope everybody's day is going well. Hope everyone's week's going well. Sorry about the delay in episodes. Had a little trouble with having a little bit of trouble with my own room recently, and with how things were working out, uh, it was not going to be able to do an episode last week. So now everything's relatively resolved, so I'm able to do one this week. But all's good, nothing to worry about. Just my own things I have to manage with, but nothing to worry about for your guys. Also, I did say I was maybe gonna do a vlog. I didn't even end up starting one, so that's why there is no vlog yet, and there won't be any vlog. I just didn't get around to starting one at all, so there won't be a vlog from the trip. There's a possibility I was maybe gonna have one, but in the end, it just didn't work out. So no vlog. That's one thing I wanted to mention at the beginning, because I did say there's a good possibility to have one. All right, let's dive into this. Welcome to this week's episode of the podcast, Betting the Book Podcast, episode 125. Thank you for all the support to this point. I very much do appreciate it. So, if you weren't aware, I was in 2 weeks ago, I went to Missouri. I knocked out both the Cardinals Stadium, Busch Stadium, and I went to Royals. And I ended up even going to Kaufman State and not Kaufman, Arrowhead, which I was even last minute that I ended up pulling that out. And if you're wondering, yes, I was at the 2.5 hour rain delay Cardinals Cubs game. That was the game I was at. It was absolutely worth it because I got one heck of a game out of it, even though the Cubs lost. But it was absolutely worth it. Busch is one heck of a stadium. I would say probably second best in the division from a non-Cubs bias perspective. From Cubs bias perspective, I would have to put Cubs ahead of them, but um, not factoring my Cubs fan perspective, I'd say ahead of Cubs uh, Wrigley Field. But yeah, I was amazed. The craziest part about that game to me was like I was walking into Cardinals territory wearing Cubs stuff, and nobody was chippering me about it. Like nobody was like, "Oh, hey, are you surprised?" And I give credit that blew me away. And kudos to Cardinal fans, but they got one heck of a stadium. Coach stands pretty good stand, and that was a phenomenal game that I got to go to. Of course, I ended up even touring Busch Stadium. The tour is pretty nice. And then I went to Royals, where I toured Kauffman Stadium, which is a solid but not anywhere near as good as Cardinals. It's like older. Also, the funny thing is the upper deck is like a bowl shaped seating, kind of like football in a way, which was really throwing off and interesting. But they've got a solid stadium of their own. I don't think it's better than probably most, if not all, of their stadiums, but I think it's a pretty solid stadium they got there. And Arrowhead absolutely just blew me away. That was beauty. And I even got told the fact I didn't even know prior to the tour that apparently Lamar Hunt, the original owner of the Kansas City Chiefs, had a part ownership in the Chicago Bulls originally, which I didn't even know. And I was just like, what? And he actually never met Michael Jordan, but that was a phenomenal trip. I actually got like a few things from that trip. Feel like that. Um, from when so a part of outside of stadiums, there were a few things I did. I went to the Gateway Arch in St. Louis because it feels like it's like the one tourist spot that you like have to go to for first time in St. Louis. And I got this like mini thing from their gift shop, which is like the arch and like surrounding parts of the area around it. What's interesting, one thing with the Gateway Arch, if you're claustrophobic and can't handle tight spaces, it's not going to be worth it because the elevator that you go in not only just goes up, but it goes up and turns, and you're in a very tight, small space. So if like you cannot handle it, it's not going to be worth it. But if you can handle it, it's absolutely worth it because you literally get all three on one side of the arch. I guess I could like, I don't know how to work with like this model compared to IRL, but I guess like from this side you see all three, and this side is the rest, or maybe vice versa. I don't, or no, I think it's vice versa because I think all three would be on this side, and then the rest would be on this side, and then everything else would be on this side. But what I mean by all three, Busch Stadium would be here, Hockey Arena, which I ended up going by because it was right by the Amtrak to go to Kansas City, is like over here, and then over here is the where the Rams used to play. I also got this from Cardinals team store that I found. That's like a baseball with the Cubs mascot and the Cardinals mascot. That was like pretty cheap. Um, so I got that. And then I got like a few program things between Royals and Cardinals. I also ended up going to the Negro Leagues Museum. Now, I have to say, I hope to go back when I have more time to appreciate it because let's just say, not knowing how long a half mile walk was going to be in a hilly area in Kansas City, because Kansas City is filled with hills. I just realized I did not start my recording for audio. And uh so like we got there like, and it just cut close timing with everything, so we kind of like skimmed through the museum. But it's an awesome museum; it's worth checking out. And next time I go to Kansas City, I have to give like a full proper time to actually appreciate it because we kind of had to rush through it, being that we had to go right after and ended up cutting close with the Kansas City Royals tour. Also, other things I've done since last episode. Staten Island Ferry Hawks had Jewish Heritage Night where they had two former Israel World Baseball Classic players and I think one technically coach that was there for like autographs, meet and greet, and signings. And I will say they might be guests on the podcast down the line. I had mentioned it to them. They're like, get in touch with us and maybe we'll see if we can make it happen. This is me with Shlomo Lipitz, who's like a former reliever who also played in the Israel League in Israel. And then this is also who's a former Cub, Cardinal, and a bunch of other teams, Jason Markey, which I didn't even recognize him at first because he was wearing like he was the one guy not wearing Israel stuff. So I'm like, who is it? Like at first, but then he said Jason Markey. I'm like, oh, never mind, it's Jason Markey. Which like that would have been bad if I didn't realize that that was who it was. And then just last Thursday in the NBA store, and I know I don't talk about NBA a lot, but I might as well throw this in. They had a meet and greet with Meta World Peace or Ron Artest or whatever name he goes by nowadays. He's like gone by a whole bunch of names. This was me and him from that meet, which it was nice to meet him. He's a nice guy. Obviously, he's known for a whole bunch of things throughout his career. Not so much his time with the Bulls, but obviously there's Malice in the Palace and a whole bunch of other stuff. But that was a cool thing to get to meet him in person. So, also in terms of the podcast, next week I hope to do a podcast. The one thing that will make things interesting is I do have a John Boy meet that I'm going to in New Jersey Sunday night. So just because of that, I may end up pre-recording the episode, whether it goes out before or after I have the event. But also that week, I'm going to be at Phillies Padres in Philadelphia. Not a new stadium for me, but a stadium I haven't been to in a while. So that's gonna be fun with my dad. And then the following week after that, for now on, it's gonna be sticking to Sunday episodes, by the way, because week after that, I have summer school from June 24th to like mid late July. So Also, I'm going to be having a lot of interesting weeks coming up between a lot of family parties, I guess is best. Celebrations, I guess is probably a better word. Um, so like it's gonna be very interesting next couple months. There's also a podcast conference I might be attending. I might end up even going to Toronto for a game, maybe Blue Jays game maybe soon. But we'll see what happens. But for now, episodes are gonna stick to Sunday just because of a whole bunch of schedule factors that I have coming up. Either way, let's get into this week's episode truly as I've gotten all the side details out of the way. And yeah, let's get into it. So, start off with the NFL news because there's not much. Justin Jefferson and Christian McCaffrey signed extensions. Jefferson with the Vikings, 4 years, $140 million after rumors maybe being traded. Good for Minnesota to keep him back. He's I mean, for how he's been performing so far, it's worth it. We'll see how that plays out. And Christian McCaffrey for 2 years, $19 million. Kind of sad it's like small, but at the end of the day, running backs are not going to get much of an extension. So for really ever probably for so many different reasons. Also, there was some historic stuff from the game that I went to with the 2-hour rain delay. Of course, two different players on two different teams had 2 homer games. Goldschmidt and Ian Happ had 2 homer games each. Goldschmidt's was the difference, basically. Cardinals winning this game 4-3. And Ian Happ's 2 homer game, which was a 2-run homer and solo home run, kept the Cubs in the game, but they still lost. A part of Goldschmidt's 2 homer game, his first one was in Big Mac land, which was his 9th career home run in that territory, and it barely got into Big Mac land, like into the one of the first 2 sections in that area. And I was not sitting there, but I was like sitting down that same baseline. I was down the first baseline. But yeah. And the second one was barely just Aid Farrell down the left field line. But yeah, Cardinals win this game 4-3. Also, Sonny Gray now has 67 strikeouts, had 67 strikeouts, which is tied with 2002 Chuck Finley for most in pitcher's first 9 appearances with the Cardinals since 1901. Also, with this game, with the 2.5-hour rain delay, at one point, instead of giving an update of like, "Hey, we're still figuring things out," or "Hey, we have a new time," they started playing the 2011 World Series film, which is just like, really, like, I mean, I didn't mind because like it's a cool film. It's like fun World Series to learn about, fun kind of year to learn about. There's a lot of history that happened in that season, but like we need an update more than watching this film from like 2011. Which was just funny. They didn't even got through like the end of World Series game 1 and then finally got the game finally played out. That was just something. But yeah, I was at a 2.5-hour rain delay that also had tornado warning, which I don't think there was a tornado that ended up hitting. Wacky, but absolutely worth it. They had a whole bunch of delays through that trip. Whether flying into St. Louis, Amtrak to Kansas City, or even flying back, it was just crazy. And that flight back, that was like, it was supposed to be a 3-hour connection and it ended up being like almost like 6 to 7, if not more, because of rain, whether stopped grounded at DC or grounded at JFK. It was just crazy, and there was no way I was going to put out an episode after the whole fiasco that I had coming back. But I have no regrets about the trip. I'm happy I did the trip, and can't wait to go back to Kansas City, go for a game, and properly give a trip to the New Orleans Museum, Hall of Fame Museum. Either way, let's get into the main parts and notes for this week's episode. I'm starting back from last Sunday, June 2nd. Rays beat the Orioles 4-3, 19th in the Orioles' first 57 games of the season at 22 years old. Harper in 2015 Harper, and behind 1998 Aaron, 1959 Harmon Killebrew, 1953 Eddie Matthews at 20. Brewers beat the White Sox 6-3. William Adams and William Contreras have now started each of Brewers' 59 games this season, which is one shy of being fifth Brewers pair to get to 60 since Robin Yount and Rob Deere in 1989, and long streak 6 to Lizcano, and George Scott 63 in 1975. I have no idea if that is still going. I haven't seen that popped up in headlines, so I'm not sure. Yankees beat the Giants 7-5. Juan Soto had a 2-homer game, marking his 20th multi-homer game of his career, which is tied for third most before 20 years old, tied with or some, I think 20 or 22 or something like that. Tied with Hal Trotsky and behind Mel Ott 24 and Eddie Matthews 23. The Dodgers beat the Rockies 4-0. Mookie Betts leadoff homer is his 52nd career and 32nd career with the Dodgers. For career is fifth most behind Ricky Henderson 81, George Springer 57, Alfonso Soriano 54, and Craig Biggio 53. While with Vlad is most in Dodger history ahead of Davey Lopes' 28. And all 7 player and also 6'2 is Lou Gehrig Day. All 7 players on Lou Gehrig Day who wore number 4 that played on that day got a hit, which is Josh Rojas, Luis Arias, Ketel Marte, George Springer, Robbie Grossman, Brian Rocchio, and Nick Fortes, which is just kind of fitting for Lou Gehrig Day. June 3rd, nothing crazy, just a few 2-homer games. Austin Hayes had one in the Orioles 7-2 win over the Blue Jays. Jake Rogers had one for the Tigers in their 2-1 win over the Rangers. And Nolan Gorman had a 2-homer game in the Cardinals' 7-4 loss to the Astros. June 4th, Cubs beat the White Sox 7-6. Cubs coming back from down 5-0. All in the 4th, not all earned runs, and 6-5 to win. Guardians beat the Royals 8-5. 4th time, Cleveland has 40 wins in teams' first 60 games in Cleveland history, along with 1995, and 1954. In 2 of those years, they reached the World Series, but did not win either of those World Series. Bobby Witt Jr. also had a 2-homer game in that game. Phillies beat the Brewers 2-1 in 10 innings. Matt Strahm hasn't allowed an earned run since opening day, a span of 25 games, which is tied with Dan Plesac in 2003 for longest such streak in Philly history. I'm not sure if it extended or not. Also, 34 strikeouts and 3 walks, who is the only one of 3 players to do so in MLB history, joining Koji Uehara in 2013 and part of the champion Red Sox, and Rob Nen in 2000. Yankees beat the Twins 5-1. Juan Soto and Stanton, our first trio. Judge Soto and Stanton, our first trio in Yankees history with 15-plus homers each in teams' first 62 games of the season. Luis Gil now has gone 7 straight outings of 6+ innings pitched and 1 or 0 runs allowed, which is longest streak in Yankees history and 3rd longest MLB history since 1901, behind 1968 Bob Gibson and 1910 Jack Coombs 11 and 2016 John Lester and 2010 Josh Johnson, 1979 J.R. Richard, and 1901 Chrissy Mathewson with 8. And tied with Fernando Valenzuela in 1981 and 1909, Harry Krause. Gill is also 5th pitcher in MLB history. To allow 3 or fewer runs and 15 or fewer hits in a single season over 7 outings since 1901, and a minimum of 40 innings pitched. It's like a whole bunch. Joining 2021 Jacob DeGrom, 1946 Bob Feller, 1916 Rod Russell, and 1905 Rube Waddle. And if it's there's a whole bunch more to that, but I'm gonna cut it off at that point. Orioles beat the Blue Jays 10-1. Ryan Mountcastle 2-homer game makes history. It's his 3rd 5 RBI game since 2023. His 17 of 88 career home runs versus the Blue Jays is his most versus any team, with the next team being 10 homers versus the Red Sox. His 8 homers at Rogers Center is his most he's hit in any road ballpark, with any other being 3. And Rogers Center is also the only road ballpark where he has multi-homer games, with the last being on June 15th of 2022. June 5th, Red Sox beat the Braves 9-0. Rafi Devers' 2-homer game leads to first team to shut out the Braves since May 12th of last year, when the Blue Jays did it in Toronto. The Reds beat the Rockies 12-7. First Red sweep of the Rockies since July 27th to 29th of 2012. Mets beat the Nationals 9-1. Luis Torrens had a 2-homer game. Yankees beat the Twins 9-5. Royce Lewis is first player in between Senators and Twins history. Senators that are Twins specifically, 2-homer in each of his first 3 games played in a season. June 6th, Reds beat the Cubs 8-4. Ellie De La Cruz on one-year anniversary of his MLB debut has 67 stolen bases and 57 extra base hits in career, which makes him only player since 1900 with 65 plus stolen bases and 50 plus extra base hits within 1 year of his MLB debut. The Yankees beat the Twins 8-5, first 8-game win streak for the Yankees since June 6th to the 18th of 2022. And that's it for June 6th. June 7th, Pirates beat the Twins 3-0. Mitch Keller, 6 innings, 7 hits, 0 runs, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, marks 6th start of no more than 2 runs in any of those outings, and has gone at least 6 innings each time, making him first Pirate to do so since Garrett Cole over 8 starts in 2015 and A.J. Burnett over 44 starts from 2012 to 2013. Dodgers beat the Yankees 2-1 in 11 innings. This game marks third game since 1920 between MLB's top 2 teams in OPS to be scoreless through 10 innings, wherein all 3 the number 2 team won in the 11th inning, including this game, and along with August 7th of 1956, number 2 Red Sox being the number 1 Yankees 1-0 in 11, and on April 29th, 1953, the number 2 Cardinals beating the number 1 Phillies 1-0 in 11 innings. The Giants beat the Rangers 5-2. Wilmer Flores 2-homer game, which is his 9th career multi-homer game, and first since July 18th of last year against the Reds. Royals beat the Mariners 10-9. Mariners had a 7-run first, but the Royals came back from down 8-0 and 9-4 to beat the Mariners. They're the fifth team to win a game after allowing 7 plus runs and scoring none in first inning in the last 50 seasons, along with June 4th of 1995 Cleveland, July 15th, 1994 Pirates, July 30th, 1983 A's, and July 20th, 1976 Yankees. It's also their first 9-run comeback since September 25th of last year against the Mariners. Also is on this day in history when they came back from down 7 runs against the Mariners on June 7th of 1984. Oakland beat the Blue Jays 2-1. J.J. Bleday, a walk-off first-pitch homer as first batter of the inning. His 3rd time it's happened in A's history, joining May 2nd, 2011, Hideki Matsui, bottom of the 10th inning, and May 30th of 1988, Dave Henderson in the bottom of the 14th. And then from yesterday's notes, Reds beat the Cubs 4-3. Justin Wilson recorded first save since September 22nd of 2019. London series was this weekend. Second game I did not cover in the notes, but is final at this point. I'll cover in next week's episode. First game, Phillies won 7-1 with Bryce Harper solo home run in the 4th. The Philly is now 22-0 when he has an RBI in a game this season. That's tied for 8th longest such streak since 1920, tied with 2002 Craig Counsell and 1971 Mark Belanger, and behind 1928 Lou Gehrig 27, 1939 Red Rolfe, 1929 Mickey Cochrane 26, and 2002 Jeff Cirillo, 1942 Mickey Owen, 1941 Rolfe again 25, and 1941 Marty Marion 23. Nationals beat the Braves 7-3. Nick Senzel 3 for 3 with a homer, 2 doubles, a walk, 3 RBI, 3 runs. His first 3 extra base hit games since July 19th, 2019, and first 2 double games since April 7th of 2021. Blue Jays beat the Warriors 0. Kevin Gausman complete game shutout in the same stadium where he threw his last and only game on May 5th of 2018. This also now marks him and Chris Bassett became the first Blue Jays pitchers to throw 8 innings in back-to-back days since Drew Hutchinson and J.A. Happ on August 6th to 7th of 2014, and Mark Burley and Aaron Sanchez day off in between on June 6th, 3rd to the 5th in 2015. Orioles shot out the Rays 5-0 with 3-run homer in the 9th. Gunnar Henderson now has 20 home runs in team's first 63 games, which is tied for 3rd most in homers in team's first 63 games of a season, 22 years old or younger, tied with 2001 Albert Pujols and 1953 Matthews, and ahead of 1959 Harmon Killebrew, behind 24, and Vlad Jr. 2021, 2015 Bryce Harper, 1998 A-Rod, and 1970 Johnny Bench, and 1929 Mel Ott 21. Also, second most homers out of leadoff spot in Orioles history through in their first 63 games of the season, behind 1996 Brady Anderson's 22, and most in MLB is 2023 Ronald Acuna Jr.'s 41. Dodgers beat the Yankees 11-3. Yankee stars have now gone at least 4 innings in all 66 games this season, which is longest such streak at any point in any single season in Yankees history. Aaron Judge and Anthony Volpe have matching 34 game on base streaks going into today's game, which is tied for third most consecutive consecutive games reaching base safely by teammates in games played together since 1901, tied with 2003 Andrew Jones and Rafael Furcal, and behind 1998 Cal Ripken Jr. and Eric Davis 36, and 2001 Ichiro and Edgar Martinez 35. Aaron Judge stole home run in the ninth, is his 280th career homer in 901 games, which passes Ryan Howard for most in the player's first 1,000 career games. Obviously, he did less than 1,000, but still a big part of history. And it's also his 36th career multi-homer game, which is 2 more than any other player in their first 1,000 career games, this was his 901st. And then the Padres beat the Diamondbacks 13-1. First time Padres have scored 10-plus runs in consecutive games at home since June 1st to 2nd in 2016. And that is it for the notes. Now to go through the standings in the AL East going into today's games, and not including today's games. Yankees in first place at 45-21, followed by the 41-22 Orioles, followed by the 32-33 Red Sox, followed by the 31-33 Rays, followed by the 31-33 Blue Jays. And then the AL Central, Guardians first place at 41-22, followed by the 39-26 Royals, followed by the 33-31 Twins, followed by the 31-33 Tigers, followed by the 17-48 White Sox. Just want to see something. No, yeah, okay. Sorry. Just wanted to see something. And then AL West, Mariners in first place 36-30, followed by the 30-34 Rangers, followed by the 30-35 Astros, followed by the 26-40 A's, followed by the 24-40 Angels. As for the NL, starting with the NL East, Phillies in first place 45-19, followed by the 35-27 Braves, followed by the 29-35 Nationals, followed by the 27-36 Mets, followed by the 22-42 Marlins. And then NL Central, Brewers in first place 38-26, Twins and Reds in second place, 32-33, followed by the Pirates in third place at 31-34, followed by the Cubs in fourth place at 31-32, followed by the Cardinals in fifth place at 30-33. And then the NL West, Dodgers in first place at 41-25, followed by the 34-34 Padres, followed by the 32-33 Diamondbacks, followed by the 30-35 Giants, followed by the 23-41 Rockies. Now, as for today's games, the one game that has not started yet is Sunday Night Baseball, Dodgers and Yankees at 7:10. Tyler Glasnow against Luis Gil. Games that have gone final. The second game of the London series, Mets won 6-5. The Giants lost the Rangers in Texas 7-2. Guardians beat the Marlins 6-3. Tigers beat the Brewers 10-2. Games are currently going on. Cubs are up 4-2 heading into the bottom of the ninth. The Twins and Pirates are tied top 9, but the Twins have a runner at second with 2 outs. Jose Miranda at the plate facing Aroldis Chapman. Orioles are up 9-2 over the Rays, top 9. Mariners over the Royals right now, bottom 8, 3-1. Cardinals over the Rockies, 5-0 at bottom of the 8th. Nationals over the Braves, 8-2 through 7. Red Sox and White Sox tied at 3, bottom of the 7th. Astros and Angels scoreless through top of the 2nd. A's and Blue Jays also scoreless top of the 2nd, and Diamondbacks over the Padres right now, 1-0 top of the 1st. That is it for this week's episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for watching and listening. If you're new on YouTube, leave a like, hit the subscribe button, leave a notification button so you're notified when I go live and or post a new video. If you're new on audio, follow the podcast, leave a review, hit notification button so you're notified when I post them there. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I will see you in next week's episode 126. Bye-bye.